same time, food is one of the fundamental sustainer, and without that, we cannot proceed ahead. So, in order to inculcate all these experiences, we are hoping we are launching this series. So, for this today's lecture, the keynote speaker is Dr. Bansidhar Deep, who comes from Rajendra University, Odisha, especially from the philosophy department of it. And now I request Professor Gopani ji to kindly enter the keynote speaker of today's session so that we can begin ahead. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Anand Kumar. So once again, we welcome you all for this today's talk on behalf of Satyashodak. As Anand clearly mentioned, the objective of the lecture series. The lecture series is very important in the domain of Dalit food culture. We wanted to have a public discussion so that new generation of scholars can engage seriously with a more academic rigor. Part of this lecture series, this is the third lecture, and we invited Dr. Bansidhar. And I just want to briefly introduce Bansidhar. Uh, uh, Dr. Bansidhar Deep teaches philosophy at Rajendra University, Prajna Vihar, Balangir, Odisha. He has completed his MA, MPhil, and PhD in philosophy from Center for Philosophy, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. His specializations includes socio-political philosophy, lived experience, epistemology, philosophical methodology, and Ambedkar. He has done his MPhil on theory of lived experience, the idea of historicity and social in Wilhelm Dilthey and Alfred Srujat, and PhD on Ambedkar's epistemology. So he has published articles uh, on lived experience and the idea of social in Alfred Srujat's a phenomenological study of contemporary relevance in the Journal of Indian Council of Philosophical Research in 2020. Vamshidhar also published another article, Phenomenology.
Dear sir, your voice is a bit cracking. Will you refresh it and come again? Yeah. Sorry for the inconvenience, dear participants. I hope. Dear sir, your voice is not audible to me or other participant. I don't know about others.
Yeah, it's not audible.
Oh, very
Some
pathetic.
network issue maybe.
That is, we are in the age of technology. We are at the doom only. We have nothing in our hand.
Yeah,
Sorry for the inconvenience.
it's
Please
okay.
kindly bear with us for a few minutes.
So many technical problem. I'm sorry for that. So he interestingly contributed chapters for edited volume published by Oxford.
Recording in progress.
And other volumes. In a way, his academic engagement and the active participation in Ambedkar movement, anti-caste thinking, as a scholar, as an organic intellectual, really, really important. And he constantly works. When I spoke with Vamshidhar, uh, so why don't you contribute a paper to this uh, volume on Dalit food culture? He immediately accepted and he began to write. He is at the edge of completing his paper. Please join with me in welcoming Dr. Vamshidhar for today's talk on food and ethics, understanding Dalit experiences. And he will be speaking for 40 to 45 minutes. Then we will have a question answer sessions. Then we will conclude this meeting. So with this, we hand over to this um, program to Dr. Bamshidhar. Over to Dr. Bamshidhar.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, everything is fine.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Chandraiah, sir, and the presider brother, that for a nice introduction and the introduction of the topic and the purpose. So, at the outset, I must thank for this opportunity to speak on such a challenging topic, that is food and ethics, understanding Dalit experiences. I have worked on lived experiences and also Ambedkar uh, writings. I have engaged philosophically. But this is a very challenging topic for me as well, because in philosophy, the ethics nowadays very relevant, particularly the animal ethics, practical ethics is very, very relevant. And a lot of people are writing. What within this domain, if we see such kind of writings are not coming, like food and ethics, I think this is also, in this linear of discourse, should have been written and discussed. So within that line, I am trying to work out for this paper and also uh, developing my thought. So thank you very much for everything. Let us begin that. And sorry for that also. I should mention from the beginning that there is some seminar going on, a lot of busy works. Therefore, maybe if I won't justify my lecture, then pardon me. But I will try my best to speak on this title. So, as usual, food is very, very essential for everybody's. Uh, to survive, not only for survival, but also for how to survive. So that is very important. So food is, in that sense, without food nobody can survive. So therefore, food is a very essential element of the societies or culture. And in that line, there are various discourses that in initially I can say that it is very difficult to say what is food. So food is very diverse, society to society, culture to cultures, caste to caste, class to class. So individual to individuals. So food is a very, very diverse thing. And therefore it is very difficult to say, if we critically understand the contemporary practices of the food, then what is food? So I found very interesting throughout this engagement, since I am from philosophy, uh, that David R. Kaplan has discussed what is food or food philosophy. For example, engaging different questions from different philosophical perspective, including ethics, that what is food or what food is a matter of metaphysical discourse. Then how we should make and eat food, or what we should eat, that is very very important questions. Or how government should regulate food, and that is the discussion within the political philosophy, and why food matters to us, an existential uh, discussion. So within that line, therefore, it is very difficult to uh, understand within that complexity that what food is. And it is also that food is not a simple, concept or a simple practices. Or we can say that food is not just a consumable entity or thing, but it is a very complex matter. It is, therefore, it is political, it is moral, it is even epistemological. So, in that way, food is beyond just an entity of consumable things. So, in that way, if we see the, or if you study the history of, or his food ethics or food practices, then we can say there must have been lot of experiment, lot of discoveries in order to what to eat and what not to eat. So in that line, there must be many people might have experimented, many people have eaten many things. So within that line, it is later on the questions, uh, what we should eat becomes very very important. And there are also questions related to food responsibilities toward ourselves and others. That is very very important questions. So within this kind of thought, or the questions like what we should eat, if we critically understand these questions, then there is, or what we should eat, these questions is very difficult to understand when we see the contemporary practices of the food. When I go to the local market or town, I see a lot of people are so attractive toward foods. They are eating like anything. And if you see the food production process and the food market, it is very difficult to understand what one should eat. So if you see the contemporary food practices like fast food, street food, and the way pesticide additives, various food additives are used in food productions, or even technology. So within this, if we see all these things uh, in the domain of food, then it is very difficult that what we should eat. So this is a very moral questions that, and this is a larger area to work on food ethics, and therefore it is very very important to critically engage the contemporary food practices in India. Now, the same questions, what is food or what we should eat, can be understood in the Indian context very, very differently and philosophically. For example, in Indian philosophical tradition, food has been defined in terms of, like Sattvic food, Rajvic food, and Tamasic food. And this is within the moral discourse of the food. So now, within the Indian philosophical tradition, Sattvic food are considered as good food, and Rajvik and Tamasic food are considered as bad food. So this this philosophical normativity is derived from the Sankhya philosophical tradition, that uh, and that has been used to justify further that, or stratify uh, the food in the society, particularly in Indian society. And therefore, that is how the normative aspect or justification, uh, what one should eat or what is a good food, take place in Indian society. Now, food is not, caste is a reality in Indian society. Caste is everywhere. So now, food is not discussed. But if we see, there are a lot of writings within the caste studies or the list studies. There are many writings, autobiographies, includes the caste and food discourse in their writings. So, food is also a matter that actually carries the caste practices, or food is a tool used to justify the caste system. So, therefore, food has to be understood very, very critically. And now, in the practices of uh, food food practices in India also maintain the caste endogamy, and therefore the food practices in a way also perpetuate caste system in India. Now, how caste and food are interconnected, that has been mentioned by many writers, autobiographers like Baby Kamle's The Prisons We Broke, Urmila Power, The Wave of My Life, Perumal Marugan's Pyres and Jutons, and in Odisha context, Veda by Akilo Naik, they have discussed that how caste and food are interconnected. So now within this context, we have to understand differently that what is the nature of mainstream food practices and what is the nature of Dalit food practices. Or for that matter, why Dalit foods are very different than the mainstream kind of food practices. So Dalits maybe eats a different kind of foods because there is a history that the food scarcity was there, hunger was there, poverty was there. So therefore, they had to eat some a specific kind, a different kind of foods, and therefore there is a scope to understand from the class perspective uh, also regarding the food practices in India. So there are three major perspective we can apply to understand uh, food practices in India. One is the class perspective, another is the caste perspective, another is the gender perspective. So, and that has been discussed by various like writers, autobiographers, biographers. They have explained this aspect well. Now, the food has also been uh, important issues within the social justice discourse, and therefore different state governments and central governments also work on this line, and different policies are also made related to food. So related to this, like women and child department, health departments, food departments are also involved to uh, distribute, to look into the matter of distribution, consumption, and even production process of the food. Now, therefore, food is also a matter of political philosophy to critically understand within the framework of social justice. Food is never a neutral matter. Food is never a neutral matters. It is, and therefore, uh, one if one if one if somebody want to eat anything whatever they like, then uh, it is not an issue. But the problem is, food is also a social marker. Food is also uh, it is a matter of beyond what you choose and eat. So therefore, the questions of like purity, pollution, status quo, then the caste angles comes to uh, food practices. So I was I was observing the food practices in Orissa, that how in the matter of food practices in the public sphere, this caste practices is done. For example, I was observing the social parties, for example, marriage, and even different religious common activities, where uh, the cooks are very different, and the catering groups are from only exclusively detachable or upper caste. So if a marriage party is taking place in villages, then the upper caste will not come and eat in that party. So for that, either a Dalit arrange separately as a guest food for them, where the untouchable will not practice exclusively, touchables will come and eat. So this, and also the catering system, that even you bring the catering parties from the touchable groups, and if you uh, cook or serve the food within your premises where the Dalit peoples are dominated, then the touchables will not come there. And the fear is the pollution. Fear is they feel that they will get polluted. So therefore, such kind of practices is very very rampant in Orissa, particularly the rural uh, Odisha in our region. I have seen it very very closely. And also, I have heard when I was childhood, when I was a child, the elders used to say that there was so the scarcity of food, that they were not getting 2 meals per a day, and therefore they were they used to tell the stories that different kinds of foods in Orissa, like gurji, mandia, and other kind of food than the like rice. So rice was not sufficiently found by them to eat. So therefore, it's a different kind of foods they used to eat. And I am in the process of communication to know all the foods which used to eat, and how earlier the Dalit in Orissa particularly used to eat the foods, and which was different from the mainstream food practices. So that is very important. And now, if we see, there is a lot of changes taking place in Orissa, and it might be the case of pan India level, that foods. Sorry, that it might be the case at pan India level, that there are a lot of the changes in food practices and consumption is taking place. And in Odisha also, there are a lot of changes. I was recently engaging and talking to peoples the related to the food festival took place at Bhubaneswar. So in such kind of, if you go to such kind of festival as well, then you will not able to understand the food diversity. But nowadays also there are lot of like globalized food or these fast foods you will get, and in that way we cannot discover the traditional food we used to eat, and it is very difficult to even distinguish what is the uniqueness of practices of the Dalits in Orissa in such kind of spaces as well. So for that, still in village society, a different ways to make the food and different things they eat. Even we do not know. For example, there are a lot of leafy vegetables is eaten in this area where I live, and which is not eaten in or which is not known to in my district. Otherwise, this district is interconnected. So in that way, the food dynamics is there, and a lot of changes are taking place. So therefore, within that context, it is very difficult to study the even the uniqueness of the Dalit foods. So the assimilation process are also there, and people don't want to they don't want to talk about their culture, their history related to the food field, and therefore it is very important to take the initiative like this, that it will bring off the new knowledge and new stories, that how in the field of caste, in the field of food practices in India, or particularly in among the Dalit communities or Bahujan communities, this food practices is done. So now, therefore, I was thinking, what is unique food among the Dalits, and what is the difference from the mainstream food in contemporary food practices in Odisha context. It is very difficult to know. Earlier, Dalit used to eat like leftover food, for example, like rakti, putas, intestines, all those things they used to get from, because that is very cheap, or whether people will not eat, and that will be hand over to Dalits. So such kind of things are eaten by Dalit. But nowadays, if I visit here, even the around my place where I stay, it is the very demanding food for everybody's. Very demanding food. So you cannot even get it if you have to be in queue. So there are a lot of places here. Uh, people eat irrespective of the caste and communities. Now, therefore, it is very difficult to uh, identify the uniqueness of the Dalit food sometimes, and therefore the assimilation and appropriation is also taking place, and that has to be critically understood when we are understanding the Dalit food practices in contemporary India. Now, caste and moralities uh, are interconnected, because as I have already told you, that in Indian society there is a division, moral division in terms of the food practices, and the normativity already has been established by the mainstream writings and knowledge systems. And if the food practices is a matter of personal choices, there is no issue. But the problem is that it has never been a neutral matter, but food is always imposed, or food becomes a matter of superiority and inferiority, and therefore it becomes a moral issues. For example, the moral discussion within the context of caste can be done in terms of like vegetarianism, non-vegetarianism, purity, pollutions, conventionalities. So therefore, The food is a entity that always through which we can understand the exclusion, discriminations, and it is not just now, but there are a lot of writings which exclusively uh, says or exclusively uh, written on that issue, that how food. Food is a matter of food is a entity through which we can even identify the different kind of caste system, caste, different kind of caste peoples and communities, and all these things have been also written by many sociologists, uh, and sociologists. But it is very interesting to understand Dalit food practices and culinary system in contemporary time, when we read the book like Dalit kitchens. So these books are very enlightening. In Orissa, again, I would like to bring some light upon the food practices in Orissa context and caste uh, practices. That there is a Odia novel called Veda. So this, if you read this novel written by Akhila Naik, that the food practices of Dalit and Adivasis are used to be very, very different. But later on, through the process of the Sanskritization, the Dalit food cultures has eliminated, and the mainstream foods or the culture of vegetarianism have taken place. Now, there are also facts in the context of Orissa that the caste practices is it can be seen in the context of food, like midday meals is one of the important food practices or institutions where we can realize that caste and food is exclusively visible. The I was talking to different people that in the context of midday meals, that who are the cooks. So majorly in Kalahandi, I was talking to some of the people. 900% are touchables. So even today, nobody's are allowed, or different compulsions or force are working, that the touchable untouchable cannot be allowed to cook. So even they are appointed to cook, then the touchables will not come and eat. So, and then maybe the touchables will force the administration to uh, change the cook from the touchables community. So, in that way, the caste and foods are visible exclusively in Orissa, and food is really very, very important to know the Dalit history, and also a different kind of knowledge systems among Dalit Bahujan history, and therefore we should have inclusive conversations, egalitarian food practice. We should uh, food practices become an egalitarian in nature or secular in nature, that whatever people want to eat, they should eat, and we should respect that. And there, that is how food diversities are there, uh, in context to context. in area wise, demographically, food diversities are there. So in this way, the food practices can be understood very critically. There are a lot of scopes to study food and ethics within philosophy. There are different way to understand it and explore it. Like animal ethics is one, uh, that whether we should eat animal or not, and then in the context of even technologies, food ethics is nowadays studied, but there are many writings nowadays. I found some of the literature I have found, like Elizabeth Telfors, then like even Peter Singers, and as I have told, the David Kaplan's is very interestingly has discussed the food ethics and food philosophy. So there are a lot of stories, or lot of stories we can see in Odisha context. The caste practices can be done. Now the issue is not uh, the issue is that it is not a matter of choice, but sometimes it is imposed. Food has become exclusionary practices, and therefore it becomes an ethical issue sometimes. That Another important issue in the context of Orissa is that, so if you observe the religious food, even in religious context, foods are uh, important to understand very differently. That earlier there used to be, like, if you see the worshipping and the sacrifices before the god, then I have observed personally, and even still, in Dalit religious practices in different occasions, it used to be, sacrifice is very, very common. So they sacrifice hen, they sacrifice goat, they sacrifice even buffaloes and sheep, and that is a very different kind of practices. And after that they eat. But nowadays, if you see that, for example, in Odisha, in Western Odisha, Nuakhai or Navarno is a festival that is, exclusively uh, practiced by Western Odisha. But nowadays, everybody are, practicing. In this practice, in this, religious festival, food used to be, sacrifice is common, and after that people will eat. But nowadays, what is happening due to the Sanskritizations, they have become vegetarians. They do offer they crack they crack the coconuts, and the food which is served to the god and goddesses by the Brahminical um, tradition, that kind of practices has been done now. So in that particular occasion, like Nuakhai or Navarno, these practices is seen, or these changes have taken place. So in such a way, there might be, there are a lot of, I'm sorry that I am not able to bring out many points, but before me, my draft paper is there, and it is already 15, 16 pages, and it is very difficult to, you know, uh, read it. Maybe I would like to take some of the questions and interact that will, help me to understand different things. Chandraya sir.
Yeah. So
Yeah, thanks.
thank you.
Thanks a lot for your insightful lecture. Uh, yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Bamshidhar. So you touched upon many aspects of food and its practice and its interconnection with the ethics part, and bringing examples from the Orissa context. So if there are any questions, directly they can message to Bamshidhar, or they can unmute and they can directly ask. Uh, Before opening up this for the larger discussion, I am also curious, and also I would like to suggest that some concrete examples will also help you, because as you already pointed out, in the context of human and animal relationship, how do we understand Dalit food culture? Today there is a so much of discussion is going on, animal rights or environmental protection, and there are many issues are coming up. I think recently there was also a book, human and animal relations. So how do we understand the eating of non-veg in this context? What could be the ethical discourse? The second point is, as you already pointed out, among the Dalits or middle class and some uh, individuals, there is a imitation, or there is a kind of what you call Sanskritization, imitation, or becoming a vegetarians, whatever you call it. And it become very important for us to understand. Once upon a time, Dalits were offering and sacrificing buffalo or whatever, goat or sheep or um, uh, hen or whatever to their Devi Devatas, their community Devi Devatas, without which they can't complete their rituals. So today you have a reverse way, and they are praying a god by becoming a vegetarian and thinking, believing that God will satisfy when I become a vegetarian. And that is how they are offering to the God. Is it because the gods are different? Because earlier they were community gods, which have a different kind of ethical and spiritual understanding. In a
Yes.
modern times, you have a gods of so-called mainstream in the process of imitation, their ethical discourse and getting a spiritual liberation become a different. So we have to understand their very process. What is the ethical discourse when they are praying traditional gods of their Devi Devatas, community Devi Devatas, when they are offering, or when they are imitating the other so-called many mainstream gods and goddesses, when they become a vegetarians, what is their discourse of ethics? How do they
uh, say this. Uh, and also, this uh, the third important thing is when state or other external forces impose on communities or individuals that you have to eat this, not this. So
Yes.
what happens to the human agency? So because the very choice of eating, because if eating is a primary component of our human survival, if you begin to restrict, if external forces begin to restrict our choice of eating, then how do you understand the human agency? That is very crucial part of our no, human existence. So those things thoda elaborately if we can touch upon, and then with a concrete examples from Orissa context,
Mm.
um, it will be more helpful and more insightful. Maybe if
Yeah.
it makes sense to you and you can respond.
Yes, 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 sir. It's very interesting points you raise. Uh, like in the context of animal and human relations, it is a very challenging question for us to understand because what I have observed is Dalit cultures is a non-vegetarian cultures. It is very difficult to, even for me, it is very difficult to survive without non-veg. So it is, it is mostly for the Dalit communities, non-vegetarian is very common. I have seen it, even still it is going on. Like, so therefore, animal ethics fails sometimes. Now, in the context of Odisha or in a larger Indian context of Dalit Bahujan or tribal culture, they eat various type of like animals. Naturally, also they eat. They hunt, steal, and they eat it. Like I have, there are many tribals or many Dalits in rural India. They eat birds. They eat different kind of non-vegetarian foods. From the animal ethics point of view, it is very very problematic. And in Orissa, in some Kendrapura or Keonjhar, I was going through the YouTube news that somebody eat the godi. It is called godi. It is like the reptile kind of, like one animal uh, that it is eaten. Very, and it is considered it is very delicious and very favorite food. Now he was, booked, and because that comes under the wildlife, and therefore he was booked under the animal ethics or from different sections. So therefore, it is a very contradictory situation or very critical, uh, issues, even morally, uh, to understand that whether one should eat, non-veg or one should veg. But yeah, in the book which I was going through, Kaplan, he has discussed and brought up many uh, philosophical positions. Even the he has discussed the ethical theories, dominant ethical theories like utilitarian, then Kantian deontological theories, and trying to understand what is good in terms of killing and whether we should eat animal or not. And from various perspective, he has discussed both the side, and in that also, in that book also, he has provided. It is very difficult to say whether uh, to kill animal is good or to eat only veg is good. So because the people, the amount of people who eat vegetarian, non-vegetarian foods are also, in good numbers. There are a lot of majority of people, eat. So it's very difficult to, exclude them as well. So, but the thing he suggested in that is that the way the food practices or fruit production is done nowadays. Now the cow breedings are done. They are kept very, very differently, and then like the way we produce chickens. So it is like torturing the animals. So such kind of things are, not ethically good. So therefore, a good way of killing should be done where they will not feel pain. So in that way, there are, discourses is there, but even Kanchelya was very critical about this. He has also mentioned in Buffalo's nationalism that even Ambedkar was also, like influenced by the mainstream kind of the like vegetarian and non-vegetarian in debate misunderstood or made him misunderstood. So in that way, it is very difficult, but uh, from the perspective of uh, the dominant food practices, like from the perspective of pragmatism, that it is very difficult that it is very difficult to say that who will eat what food and good and bad. So animal ethics and human relation is another area to deal critically understand even in the context of Dalit food practices. That is a very interesting point. The another is, sir, gods uh, and the spiritual context, understanding food practices of Dalit and non-Dalit. So in Orisha, sacrifice is common, even in our home. Without sacrifice, nothing is done. So ritual is incomplete. And it is not in our home, but in our villages, it is very common. It's like goat sacrifices, and other kind of sacrifices. And in Orissa, every year it happens in Kalahandi, there is Manikesari. Manikesari goddesses is there, and in Manikesari goddesses, Shatar Jatra take place yearly during the Dasahara time. And thousands of killings are done. The road is completely blocked. So no government can stop that, and and in that way, Sulia Jatra in Bolangir, Sulia Jatra in Bolangir are also there is a lot of sacrifices is done. Goats, even buffaloes are sacrificed. In some of the villages, still this is there that they don't do it randomly or yearly, but within some it is called Bali Jatra. Even in our villages, that is practice. I have also witnessed once. It take place within like 20 years, 30 years, and in some of the villages, 10 years, 12 years. This festival take place, religious festival take place. So therefore, and in Akhil Naik, Veda, a novel, in that, novel, it is clearly articulated that even in the domain of in spirituality, that how the foods are different, or the prasad is differently offered to the goddesses of the Dalit Bahujans and the mainstream god and goddesses. That is, clearly there is a boundary. And if we see the critically the Deva Devis, or god and goddesses of in our area, it is basically in most of the villages you will find the women goddesses, the head of the head goddesses or god, they be deities, not god and goddesses, but the deities are actually basically women deities. It is recently I witnessed, just last week we went to our village. There was a festival. uh, so lot of goddesses, a lot of deities, we worship basically. Even still today, the Dalit Bahujans, they worship the different kind of gods and goddesses. and particularly they are they are ancient people only there, and in that way, even in these fields, the like the ethical discourse can be linked, that how our people are becoming vegetarian and non-vegetarian nowadays, that has to be critically understood looking at the contemporary scenario. So thank you very much, sir, for these questions. I would like to, if there are questions, would like to take.
Uh, sir, sir, my name is Amit Kumar, and I want to put this debate in a philosophical way. As you are from philosophy, so I would expect that you will deal this question philosophically. So my question is that let me put Gopal Guru in this context. From his book Correct Mirror, he talks about sensorium. He says that our habit of our taste of food is developed by society or socially trained sociality. So I want to just ask a question, a philosophical question, that how the epistemology of food that develops through sociality interact with ontology of food. Is there any debate regarding ontology of food in philosophy and how it's deal with epistemology of food? And the second question is that uh, the second question that I want to raise is regarding Bourdieu idea of habitus. He says that to maintain habitus, which is again hierarchical in every society, this is the culture is very necessary to maintain the habitus. So we are debating whether what should we eat, what should we not eat, is the only result of habitus who is controlling the habitus. Is debating veg or non-veg is a kind of loop that is created by habitus.
Okay. Thank you for such a philosophical questions. You are asking very important. So I have written a book. I have written on Gopal Guru as well. That recently, last year, it is published like philosophy, phenomenological experience of caste and untouchability, a moral puzzle. So that article is there available in Google Scholar as well. So within that, I have discussed the debate of morality again in the context of caste, and I have brought many example from the villages again, that how it is a matter of I have brought the phenomenological aspect to understand the caste consciousness. Uh, Now, like in the context of Gopal Guru and Correct Mirror, like food is developed in like the sensorial aspect, like epistemology and ontology you raise. Now, definitely, food, you know, is a food practices carries lot of like knowledge system, or if you critically understand the different food practices practiced by different communities, then definitely the different kind of knowledge system you gain about that communities or a particular society, even and therefore experience matters. So if you critically engage with the Dalit food practices, then and definitely the experiences, then a different kind of epistemological uh, uh, aspect or theory of knowledge regarding that particular community or society you will get. And like how we should eat food becomes an epistemological questions, or how we should make food become an epistemological questions, and therefore in Dalit kitchen it is that mention or exclusively discuss how Dalit foods are different. Their culinary system, their making style are very very different, and therefore, yeah, it is very important that experience, from the point of view of experience and the knowledge in the context of food practices, and that we can understand. And on the other hand, the ontology, that what is a food, what is a food? Food can be anything if that is digestible and helpful for the growth of our body and mind. That can be anything. It is very difficult to say food. What is food for me? It may not be food for you. So it is, and therefore, what is food is a, these questions is a ontological questions, can be, critically engaged with. So now the Bourdieu's context, uh, maybe uh, that is again from the society and culture context. He uh, talk about food, or or we will get a better framework to understand this the culture and food practices if we go through the Bourdieu's idea of habitus, and maybe we will interact it, and I will also have to study Bourdieu's. I have not, I am familiar with the Bourdieu's, but I have not uh, gone through Bourdieu's. Therefore we might engage personally also, and I will look into this. So, but it is a very interesting point you raised, that which I can go through Bourdieu's and look at from a sociological perspective, mainstream sociological perspective, because in Indian society there are many sociologists, they have studies about food, and for example, like the person who has developed the concept of Sanskritization, M.N. Srinivas, and the Gurus, and a lot of people have, can be discussed, and their understanding and the understanding of Bourdieu's,
Well,
their framework and understanding of Bourdieu's to understand the food practices in India will,
I,
give a lot of insight. So thank you so much for
I,
asking this question.
I just want to quote Gopal Guru. He says that when it comes to study experience or society, archaeology is better than sociology.
Yeah,
So
archaeology
rather
is better
than
than
going
sociology, because
sociology.
sociology may not be able to capture the realities of the Dalit, in the sense certain things which is philosophical, but archaeology
Yes,
may
and
be the better framework to counter the philosophical justification of caste practices and other things. So therefore maybe he argues that archaeology is the better you know than the
the
sociological.
yes, and another thing that I am working on it to look at the culture from anthropology rather than sociology or archaeology. So it can give like when we use interdisciplinary, like merging anthropology, sociology, and archaeology, then we get some kind of clear idea regarding culture and different kind of understanding regarding it.
Yeah, yeah, that is also interesting.
So thank you so much, Dr. Deep, for such enlightening talk. And it's been more than 1 hour you are speaking continuously. We are very delighted. Still, there are few questions in the chat bot. Can I read for you to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the?
yeah, yeah. You
So the
really.
first question is by Kundan, I think Kundan Kumar.
I
Yeah, Suman, you want to say something?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
yes. Hi. It's a very good lecture, sir.
Thank you, thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm doing my PhD from JNU. and my topic is also lies in like food and culture, and I working on meat consumption among women in Haryana. So I just want to add a few things like that we should focus when we talk about the Dalit food culture and Dalit food practices. We should focus on Dalit women also, and what I am uh, like proposing is when we talk about Dalit food, or we should also look into the nutrition of Dalits, and especially Dalit women, that how these religious groups like Deras, uh, that that there are many Deras of Radha Swami, and these Hindu religious group, they are on the mission to remove alcohol and meat from the society.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Dalit women nutrition, which is based on meat and meat products, and because they are cheap, they cannot afford supplements or cereals, the other food, the other source of plant based protein. So yes, matlab, the role of religious groups, um, their impact on Dalit women nutrition when it comes to to promote vegetarianism. So I just want to add this thing that we should look into their nutrition also, because Dalit and Dalit women, they are facing different kind of discrimination, which I must say that in their plate also, that women in in many families in our household in Haryana's also, when we talk about the Sanskritization, when we talk about the Sanskritization, the Jat women, they in Jat families, they do not consume meat and meat based products, and uh, influence of Jat families over Dalit families. Now Dalit families and Dalit women, because of the Sanskritization, we can say, and the influence of religious groups, and the Dalit women are saying that okay, we do not cook meat, and we do not we have now different meat which upper caste are having. So because of that, their nutrition are being compromised, and of course their plate, and the male members plate in our households are very different. So I think we should talk about it, or and matlab, we should consider this. So
Yeah. Yes, Suman, it's very interesting. And I was, maybe I have mentioned that there are three perspectives to look at food practices critically. One is class perspective, that
yes.
the poverty, hungers,
Hmm.
scarcities, and
Hmm.
therefore social discourse, social justice discourse in the context of food practices can also be brought up.
Hmm.
Uh, that is one, and then the caste. Caste is another, aspect. It's not just about poor and rich. Even whatever kind of food you eat, and therefore interesting questions I forgot to mention, that whether Dalit is discriminated or excluded historically because they eat a filthy, unhygienic kind of food, because that is what sometimes argued, that like intestine, leftovers, other kind of very unhygienic kind of food they eat, therefore you know they are not tossed, or they are discriminated differently. But is this the case, or uh, whether irrespective of whatever kind of food you eat, you will be treated like differently? And therefore, uh, it is not that if you eat like filthy food or different kind of unhygienic food, therefore you are treated. It is not the case. Irrespective of feed, wherever you invite, they are not going to eat in a marriage party, or they are not going to eat in special parties. That is exclusively practice in our village India, or in particularly in Rorisa, in marriage party, in family parties. The touchables, it is not necessarily Brahmins, but the touchables, they will not join you. So this pollution and this purity is still very very rampant in Odisha. It is seen. Maybe in town it is very little bit lesser, but it is even town. It is very it is visible. So therefore, it is not just a matter of class, but also the caste. Caste is very, very important to the hunger or the poverty. All these things are there due to they eat different kind of food. Maybe if we critically, historically study the Dalit food practices mm, and food practices, because therefore they are compelled to eat because they cannot afford. Hmm? From the perspective of affordability, they will always prefer as you mentioned, which is lesser amount, and so and so forth. So therefore, caste perspective, another very important perspective is that is the gender perspectives.
Hmm. Yes.
Gender perspective is very very important, and it is not new. There are a lot of I was uh, going through the literatures, some of the articles they have mentioned that many novels like Baby Kamlesh, Urmila Power, Periman Murugam, and other. There are a lot of even in Orissa context, the Bheda novel. They have, and there are innumerable literatures that differently it is talked regarding not many, but still there are autobiographical, biographical literatures talk about a different kind of picture on food and omens. If we see even within it is the omen, they will not get food at the and I have seen even in my family that if there is guest, or they have cooked for everybody's, but ultimately they have to serve and they have to eat, and at the end they will not eat, if there is no food. So such kind of situations, or such kind of situations are also there, but in a larger context of the society, we have to see omen and food critically, and that is very interesting point you made.
Also, sir, many women, many Dalit women, I must say, that they do not accept publicly because at the end, women are the carrier of the caste.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so they have this burden, and to get involved with the upper caste women, and to make this friendship with upper caste women, they do not accept openly that we are non-vegetarians, or we are not having this particular type of meat. uh,
yeah,
so there is this stigma uh, around this food. We can say that yes, Dalit women are facing this problem, and how the caste is attacking their so that their self, that they are saying no, we do not eat meat. And some women, Dalit women, openly share with me their experience that yes, we do not accept it openly, we do not say that we eat meat, and because upper caste women will not sit with us. So
yeah,
there is
true,
this
true.
stigma. And when it comes to Bourdieu, we can say that Bourdieu, in his book, said that that working class need very heavy meal, meat based meal, and heavy meal, because they have more work to do, or labor work to do. So there is a need, and which will be their habitus, So in India, we can say that women need more meat and more full meal because they are working more in a household or as well as in as a
Yes, yes.
laborer, yes, in fields, and they do not get enough amount of uh, full meal. Yes. So when
True,
it
true.
comes to Burdu, this point I can make.
Yeah, 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 true.
So, Dr. Deep Ji, actually,
Thank
we
you.
are running very short of time. I think it's already 7:30
Yes, yes,
by now.
yes.
But however, there are some questions. But before these questions, I have a small suggestion. I think it may be useful for your paper as well.
Yes.
When we talk about the relationship or ethics in the relationship between animal and human, or the discourse of ethics into it, I think if we look it through the politics of emotion and narration that is being used as a tool to propagate
Hmm.
certain kind of agenda, certain kind of propaganda, especially from the mainstream society. The people are somehow using the emotion of like daya bhav and compassion to inculcate certain kind of food or dietary habit, so that
Hmm.
in order to maintain their cultural hegemony. So, especially if we look at this discourse through or using the Foucauldian analysis, then it would be really enhanced and helpful for
Hmm.
us. So, moving ahead, there are a few questions. I'm reading these questions for you. So, first question is by Kundan Kumar. Why the ethical implications of the disconnect between the pujari's acceptance of animal sacrifice, that is Bali, as a part of
Can you
temple
repeat
ritual?
it?
Why the ethical implications of the disconnect between the pujari's acceptance of animal sacrifice as a part of temple rituals and their promotion of sattvic food for the masses? How does this reflect on the power of dynamics, cultural relativism, and moral consistency within religious institutions?
Hmm.
Can we take another question and then
Yes,
you can
yes,
tell?
yes, 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 yes.
So another question is by Anu. The Anu is asking about in the context of some states where animal sacrifice has been legally prohibited, to what
Hmm.
extent can this be understood as a process of enforced sensitization? Does the prohibition of sacrifice compel Dalit communities to conform to dominant Brahminical vegetarian norm, thereby restricting their cultural autonomy and reinforcing caste-based symbolic boundaries?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there is
So,
another. Yeah. Please go ahead.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Give me another questions also.
Yeah. Runi Sharma is asking, how has the language of smell, that is the smell of dried fish or beef, has been weaponized to ethically justify the segregation of Dalit students in hostels or employees in shared workplace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's very. Uh,
Vamshidhar,
yes, sir.
so it's need not to respond to everyone, every
Yes,
question,
yes,
but you
yes,
can throw some light and you think about these questions in your paper.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, thank you very much for asking such interesting questions. Definitely, I think these questions will help me. I have also screenshot the questions so that I can, you know, look into these questions while going through my papers. Uh, just 1 minute, 2 minutes, maybe. Uh, like Pujari's acceptance in that context, that it is obvious that like there is a differences already we have discussed. I think the mainstream spiritual food uh, is sattvic food. And if you sattvic food, and in maximum religious worship and offerings are the sattvic food in nature, vegetarians foods in nature. But as I have observed and experienced in Dalit Bahujan culture in Orissa, that basically it is non-vegetarians without sacrifices, without non-veg, the religious rituals are incomplete, and therefore it is a clear cut demarcations. And uh, in terms of food resistance is also there. So religiously there is a and therefore food becomes a political categories that differently uh, people use food in different contexts. So this is obvious fact that in Dalit Bahujan cultures, basically sacrifice is accepted, and in universal God and goddesses and their worship, the swastik foods are, you know, uh, accepted. The second question is the state prohibited. Yeah, I think in maximum like context, the
Okay.
state prohibited the non-vegetarian food. But if you see in the society, there are a lot of food practices are done at society level. Differently in their cultures. So it is the differently practices. It is not reported, but still they cannot they manage to eat in a different way, different kind of foods. But if the politics is very hegemonic, then the impositions and restriction on food is there, and therefore uh, it is also a moral question, that a critical question toward the state, that how you will impose the food practices of some kind, and you restrict the food practices of other kind. So therefore the nationalist the political discourse differently, like Gandhian political discourse, Kanchaila will say that in a way, the glorification of the food, and even food becomes the nationalist project to impose uh, among Dalit Bahujans. So again, the language smell and the exclusion of food practices in the hostels and all. So it is there, and there are, I was going through some of the literature in some of the example you cited in many in some of the institutions. The even hostels are different. Hostels kitchens are different for the different student, because of in the line of vegetarianism and non-vegetarian. So this culture is there, and it is very difficult. Sometimes it becomes violence also, fight also. So even during our student time, this debate was there, and even still this debate is there among. mm the student context, and in the universities context, that veg and non-veg are there in the hostels. People sit differently in this batch. Vegetarian people will see, and some people will sit, and another sit, the non-vegetarian people sit. So it is very difficult to understand, but and it is not good that therefore uh, what one will eat, how are you going to decide that? So we have to be very secular in terms of food practices, that whatever food, if people are eating, then that is a matter of their choice, and you should not feel hot about it and problem about it. So, if you see the food diversity, it is very difficult to impose one kind of food. Always you will impose one kind of food, and you uh, ask people to eat this food. So it is very difficult. There are a lot of people eat different kind of food, and therefore food become resistance to uh, to claim your identity and to claim your politics. And therefore, food is not a just consumable things, but it is also a political uh, issues.
So thank you, Vamshidhar, Dr. Vamshidhar Deep, and it was very enriching discussion. And all these questions and suggestions may help you in improving your paper. And it's a really, really very important discussion for all of us. Now I invite Devshish to propose vote of thanks.
Hello, sir. I'm Devashish, and so thank you so much, sir, for your lecture. I know there was so much technical disturbance, but you were there, most of probably 1.5 hours. So thank you so much for that. And with that, I want to thank you for being there. And it is clearly that you are working on the paper. So obviously, it is very important. You can't say anything, but we are eager to read the paper and the thoughts which you have shared. For example, the in autobiographies, food and caste was a very integral part, and I'm also exploring that Dalit autobiographers always in their teenagers, they are exploring that how food they were being identified, and you obviously point out that food was an important identifier, and however it never occur in our scholarship that we have explored the realm of food and how food shapes us and we shape the food, and we are very interested to see that how you will come up with the paper. So we are very eagerly to wait. With that, I want to say on 13th we have another lecture. Amit Kumar, Allahabad University scholar, is going to give his insights on his paper, and he'll share his idea same time 6 o'clock at evening. So I'll appeal to all the listeners. So be there. We'll share the poster, and plus we'll share this video on our Satya Shodhak YouTube channel and Satya Shodhak Facebook channel. So be there. We'll try to organize several lectures at the same time, and we'll update our poster through WhatsApp messages and our Facebook page. So thank you so much, and thank you so much, sir, for giving enlightening lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for listening patiently. Uh, so I must thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Definitely, I will take these questions seriously to incorporate in my paper. So I have learned many things with this deliberation. Thank you so much, Chandraiah sir and Anand sir, for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very thanks. We are happy to see you and listen your talk. So really amazing. You rock the show.
Yeah, I see the limitation of my presentation, but the one of the reasons for that is that actually I was a little bit so much administrative work came in between. One seminar is there in 1314 national seminar. We are organizing in our department, and also there are some other administrative, deadline comes, so therefore I could not focus much. Even I did not read this. I from 2 3 days I have been working for this, looking at sometimes what to present, because I thought I should not present as it is what I have written in my paper. So I thought I should speak something related to this in general, and examples I can brings, and in that way I got little disturbed. So therefore I'm sorry, but
Yeah, no, no, no. You
yeah,
need not to say
but it is
sorry.
like a
Rather, we are
discussion. It
happy.
was, quite constructive. So therefore, I must thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. See you then. Huh?
See you on 13.
Anand,
Yes, sir.
वो recording stop करो.
Okay, okay.
You
Let me.
stop recording.
You are the host.